जय गजानन। गणेशाय नमस्तुभ्यं हे रंबाय एकदंतिने स्वानंदवासिने तुभ्यं ब्रह्मणस्पते नमः। गणानां त्वा गणपतिं गुं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् स्तुन्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनम्। ओम महागणपते नमः। Hello friends, Namaskar. We are starting one complete audio book in the form of podcasts on Srimad Mudgal Puran. As you all know, Srimad Mudgal Puran was originally written in Sanskrit by Ganesha Maharaj, to whom a Brahmin named Dundiraj would come and bring a few pages of the manuscript every Chaturthi and take it back the next Chaturthi. Between these two Chaturthis, Ganesha Maharaj would copy down the entire manuscript and wait for the next lot to come the next Chaturthi. It was in this manner that he wrote the Srimad Mudgal Puran. He subsequently wrote a commentary on this, and which I have the privilege of, and I am feeling blessed to be able to translate that into English for the very first time. This, I hope that it meets the expectations of the listeners and they be purified and cleansed by hearing and listening to this Srimad Mudgal Puran in English just as much as it would in Sanskrit or any other language. Jai Gajanan. Shri Gajanan, Jai Gajanan, Jai Jai Gajanan Moria. Shri Gajanan, Jai Gajanan, Jai Jai Gajanan Moria. Section 1, Khand 1, Chapter 1, Srimad Mudgal Puran. Dialogue between Saunaka and Suta. Shri Saraswati Namaha, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. By the grace of Ganesha, we have attempted the English translation of Shri Mudgal Puran, verse by verse. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. I meditate with a single pointed focus on Ganesha, who lives in the hearts of all yogis. He is the Absolute One, who enlightens the buddhi and bestows all siddhis. He is described by describing various Brahmas. Ganesha has created all these Brahmas, the collection of various universes, and has conquered them all. Though he is without attributes, Nirguna, he assumes various forms with attributes, Saguna forms, to protect his devotees. He has assumed various incarnations. He has manifested in different forms. I pay obeisance to that Ganesha, whose form is of a human body and an elephant head. The human aspect represents his Saguna form, and the elephant head symbolizes his Nirguna form. Prostrations to Shiva. I offer my humble salutations to the valiant Vishnu. I bow to Surya and Shakti. I bow to you, O Ganesha, who has divided into these four forms. I prostrate to Purana Purusha, the eternal being who commenced the creation. I always bow to that Paramatma, Supreme Spirit, and to Brahma, Seshnag, Narayana, and Parama Purana Purusha with wholehearted devotion. I always wholeheartedly surrender to Devas, Yogis, and great Maharshis to enable me to acquire the knowledge in the Puranas. In the previous Kalpa, Shaunaka and other Munis who were virtuous and accomplished in sadhana lived in the Naimisharanya forests, fearful of the defects of Kali when total decadence was present in Kali Yuga. They had heard from Brahmadeva that it was in this forest that Munis should reside in the Kali Yuga to observe their dharma, perform karmas, and acquire jnana siddhis, attainment of the highest wisdom. They had also heard from Brahma that in order to be free from the sinful effects of Kali Yuga and earn punya, they should strive to listen to the Puranas regularly. Once a Sutta, expounder of the Vedas, named Lomaharshana, arrived in this forest to meet the sages. He was well versed in the Puranas and a scholar. He was amazed by the splendor of the Naimisharanya forests. He thought that the vast forests, which are unaffected by the defects of Kali Yuga, were indeed blessed. He observed that the Munis who resided there were happy. The Munis observed their dharma and were engrossed in fulfilling their duties by performing nitya and naimittika karmas, daily prayers and casual acts of piety. The Munis would regularly and eagerly perform the 5 yajnas and study Vedas. As a result, divine radiance emanated from them, akin to the flames of Agni, fire. Such was the radiance of Shaunaka, other Marshis and Yogis. Well versed in the Vedas, it appeared that the sun and the stars did not set on Naimisharanya. Thereafter, the illustriate Romaharshana Sutta greeted everyone respectfully by performing such Sashtanga Namaskar. He joined his palms in reverence and bowed humbly with devotion. Sutta, with great respect towards the saints, spoke humbly in a sweet voice. He maintained control over his Sharira. Sharira is a physical body. This means that he did not sneeze, cough, hiccup, etc., which would be a sign of disrespect. Sutta said, O the greatest among Munis, today my lineage, parents, clan, age, vidya, wisdom, vrata, penance, tapas, and knowledge, jnana, have been blessed. Even the devas are desirous of such blessings. Due to my merits, punya karmas, I have been blessed with the darshana of your holy lotus feet, by which inauspiciousness has been destroyed. Brahmins who comprehend Brahma are the form of the Brahma. By their darshana, all beings become accomplished. I reiterate that I have become accomplished. There is no doubt about it. By your mere darshana, I have been liberated from the ocean of worldly existence. All the ascetic Brahmins replied to the devout and virtuous Lomaharshana Sutta, O illustrious Sutta, O meritorious Sutta, do stop. We have become content by your presence. Having said this, the Munis offered him an asana. The distinguished and eminent Sutta humbly seated himself. The most distinguished amongst the Munis and beloved Muni of the Bhrigu race, Shaunaka, said to him, O eminent Sutta, you are omniscient and have granted happiness to all. You have worshipped the most scholarly Pandit, Krishna Dvipayana Rishi, Vyasa Rishi. You have been blessed by him. Vyasa Rishi was the incarnation of Narayana and was Narayana himself. He compiled and classified the Vedas and Puranas. O Punyavardhana, you are his disciple and have learned the Itihasa, including the Mahabharata and Ramayana, and the Puranas from him. As a result, you are omniscient. Obeying the command of Brahmadeva, we are hiding in Naimisharanya from Kala, Lord of Death, in the form of the evil and sinful Kali Yuga. You have arrived here to enhance our punya by narrating the Puranas. You are virtuous, extremely brilliant, and preceptor of the Puranas. Kali does not stay where Puranas are taught. Hence, O Lord, bestow your grace on us and narrate the Puranas. O virtuous one, we reiterate that it is because of our immense merits, punya, that we have the good fortune to be blessed by your darshana. O blessed Sutta, you are truly the destroyer of doubts. By dispelling doubts, your listeners experience an exciting thrill of joy. Hence, you are also referred to as Romaharshana, causing the hair to bristle or stand erect. When Shaunaka Maharshi requested thus, Sutta was pleased and commenced the sacred narration. He said, Vyasa had bestowed his divine grace on me. I am accomplished today because of him. I shall recount what I had learnt from him. Saying thus, Sutta narrated all the Puranas in entirety and serially. They contained several legends and discussed many aspects of Dharma. These legends were prosperity bestowing, could accomplish the Purusharthas, that is Dharma, righteousness, Artha, material well-being, Kama, enjoyment, and Moksha, liberation from worldly ties. And listening to them destroyed unhappiness. They could bestow upon with the divine Brahma Bhuta. They contained information with different perspectives. He narrated the Puranas. He discoursed on some auxiliary Puranas, Upapuranas, and the Itihasas chronologically. The legends bestowed the four Purusharthas, the four aims of human life, namely duties, Dharma, material well-being, Artha, fulfillment of desires, Kama, and liberation, Moksha. They also granted merits, Punya. Listening to them repeatedly, the eminent rishis were filled with happiness. They were overwhelmed with devotion. Their contentment reflected in their behavior. In this manner, they endeavored to spend their time in the Kali Yuga happily listening to the Puranas. After listening to the Itihasas and Puranas, even the great Munis were perplexed as they presented conflicting opinions. They were unable to decide what part of Dharma was most agreed upon. Therefore, they asked Mahamuni Shaunaka. They asked, O illustrious Sutta, listen to our queries in brief. After listening to the various Puranas, we are bewildered. We are confused as to who is superior and who is not. There is no consensus. How are we to decide on the subject? In some legends, Shankara is the greatest. In some, Vishnu is the greatest. And in some other legends, Ravi, Surya or Sun, Shakti, Ganesha, Viraja, or their incarnations are described as the most supreme. Some say the most supreme is Brahma. Others say that it is Yoga, Jnana, Karma, Atma, Prana, vital force, or Mana, mind. Some others say that it is Buddha. Some consider Sankhya or Swananda as the supreme. Hence, we are unable to decide conclusively due to these different perspectives. Therefore, based on the true meaning of Vedas and Shastras and the precepts accepted by all, please elucidate only one Purana which will clarify all our doubts. When asked thus, Sutta, the most eminent and brilliant disciple of Vyasa, narrated the essence of all Shrutis and Smritis contained in one Purana. Sutta said, O Munis, listen to the Purana narrated by Mudgala, which is the essence of all Smritis and Shrutis and acknowledged by all. Many years ago, a yajna conducted by Daksha was destroyed. Rudras arrived unexpectedly and created a great obstacle. The ferocious Rudras defeated all Devas. Veerabhadra beheaded Daksha. Brahmadeva arrived and persuaded Shankara in various ways. Thereafter, Shankara with his yogic powers revived Daksha. As his yajna was destroyed, Daksha was greatly distressed. Daksha, influenced by a curse, was engulfed in a veil of ignorance and was baffled. An eminent yogi named Mudgal Muni, well versed in the doctrines of Vedas and Shastras, manifested, spreading radiance akin to sunrise. Mudgala was the most profound and acclaimed amongst all the devotees of Ganesha. He was an epitome of penance and karma. Seeing the Mahamuni, Daksha stood up and bowed to him. He offered an asana, performed his puja with reverence, and said, O effulgent Muni, the descendant of Angiras, I bow to you. You are revered by all. I am numbed by sorrow caused by the destruction of the yajna. Please protect me. Mudgala said, O Daksha, you are the most superior amongst all the kings who protect the subjects. Do not worry. Remember Vigna Raja and nothing will be impossible. Thus ends the first chapter titled Dialogue between Shaunaka and Sutta in the first khanda of Srimad Mudgal Mahapuran, containing the legends of Vakratunda as a dialogue between Shaunaka and Sutta. Dedicated to Sri Gajanana. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2. Debate between Daksha and Nandi. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Sutta said, O eminent Muni, Daksha listened to the Mudgal Puran. He asked a number of questions beneficial to all. Shaunaka replied, We wish to listen to the dialogue between Daksha and Mudgala. O Sutta, please narrate this benevolence bestowing dialogue in detail. Sutta replied, O Munis, listen to this unique legend which can purify all human beings. After listening to it, humans need not do anything else to attain liberation. I shall narrate the dialogue between Mudgala and Daksha in brief. It will liberate the devotees from worldly disease. Daksha was overjoyed after listening to the narration by Mudgala. The devout and illustrious Daksha joined his palms in reverence and said with a single pointed mind, he said, O Mudgala, I must have earned immense merits in my previous birth. Consequently, I have been blessed with your darshana. Your darshana grants liberation in other lokas, bestows infinite merits, punya, grants all enjoyments in this life and can bestow the knowledge of dharma. I have lost all my knowledge because of a curse. I have also lost my position as Prajapati. My yajna was demolished. I faced numerous difficulties. To be blessed with your darshana at such a time is astonishing. I am inspired by your darshana. Your darshana has many purifying influences. You are blessed among the yogis. Who is the Lord of Obstacles, Vignapati? What is he like? What is his inherent nature? How many incarnations has he assumed? Whose amsha is he? How can I extol him? Who have performed his ritualistic puja as ordained? How were they rewarded? Generously? Where does the Lord exist? In which loka does the Lord reside? I inquire this respectfully. Please explain in detail. By comprehending this Lord of the Lords, I will be benefited. The astonished Munis reverentially asked Sutta to narrate the complete legend of Daksha. Shaunaka and other Munis asked, How did Daksha, a Prajapati himself, behave so foolishly? How did he lose the position of Prajapati? What events led to the destruction of the yajna? Why was Shankara enraged? O esteemed Sutta, please narrate the entire legend in detail. Listening to the pleading words of Munis, the disciple of Vyasa happily narrated the fascinating legends of Daksha. O Shaunaka and other Munis, listen attentively to this legend, which can purify the earth. I have heard it from Vyasa and am recounting it exactly as I heard it. Brahmadeva had 10 sons. Daksha was the eldest and most valiant. Hence, Brahma appointed him as a protector of the world, a Prajapati. After he became sovereign, he became arrogant. He thought, I am the most important Prajapati. No other king can match me. One day, gods, munis, kinnaras and siddhas went to Kailasa in the Himalaya for the darshana of Shankara. Gandharvas, Nagas, Vidyadhara, Apsaras, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahendra also went to Kailash. Shankara honored them. After they were seated in the assembly, Shankara performed puja of everyone present. Vishnu was seated to the left and Brahma to the right. All devas were seated in rows. They were also seated appropriately. Nandi and other ganas, the attendants, stood nearby. Vashishta and other munis were happy and sang hymns of praise for Shankara. Narada and Gandharva sang songs. Apsaras danced in this manner. The jubilant assemblage performed puja of Shankara and his family. The assembly conducted religious discourses. Just then, Daksh Prajapati arrived there. Shiva respectfully greeted him and lauded him with appropriate words, but did not offer salutations appropriate for his prowess. Daksha became extremely furious. He said, "O superior assemblymen, listen, one must behave according to protocol. I am the father-in-law of this Rudra. Shankara is like my son. He did not bow to me. Hence, you must all abandon Maheshwara. He is proud of his powers and supremacy and has failed to observe his dharma. He is the chieftain of Pishachas, malevolent or devilish beings. How does he deserve to be a god? He does not belong to any caste or social system. Varnashrama. He wanders naked, asks for alms, bhiksha. He adorns himself with snakes. He smears his body with ashes from the funeral pyre, bhasma. He drapes a tiger's skin. He wears a garland stringed with skulls around his neck. Due to this filthy acts, he is unfit to be touched by eminent ones. Though his name is Shiva, auspiciousness, he is unholy. Yet he calls himself Ishvara with undue pride. He is a leader of the Pishachas and protects evil traditions. He does not deserve respect. Even though Prajapati abused thus, Shankara was without malice, as he respected him as his father. Shankara tried to pacify him. However, Nandikeshwara was infuriated by this verbal abuse. His eyes were blood red with anger. He said, "O Prajapati, you have criticized Shiva. We hold you in contempt. O evil king, intoxicated by pride, you are unable to recognize the true form of Shiva. All that you see is a divine play of his Maya. He himself is without any blemish. That is why he is pure. How dare you insult him?" Those who censure Shiva are considered ignorant. Shastras have said that they deserve to go to hell, Naraka. Therefore, you will be stripped of knowledge. The face which has insulted Shiva will be replaced by the face of a ram, he-goat. You will be deprived of your kingdom. Listening to these words of Nandi, Daksha replied again, "O ignorant one, you have no knowledge of who Shankara is. He commits impure karmas. When a person does not follow the Varnashrama dharma, caste and stages of life, he accumulates sins at every stage, and after his death he goes to Naraka, hell. Hence all Shaivites, followers of Shaivism, are great sinners and thus untouchables. All Shaivites on earth will be stripped of their wisdom. When Kali Yuga commences, all Jatadharas will become Shudras, the lowest caste, and will not study Vedas and Shastras. They will smear ashes on their body and will roam naked on earth. They will be attracted to wine, women, and meat. They will engage in various indulgences. Those who follow the path of Shambhu will eventually rot in hell." On hearing these evil words of Daksha, Brahma admonished him. The infuriated Daksha immediately returned home. All those present in the assembly returned to their homes happily. Shiva was also extremely perturbed. Om. End of chapter 2 of the first khanda of the Purana Upanishad, Srimad Mudgal Puran, which is a mine of nectar containing the legends of Vakratunda in the debate between Daksha and Nandi. Dedicated to Sri Gajanana. End of chapter 2. Chapter 3. The Immolation of Parvati. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Sutta said, "O Munis, steady your restless mind and listen. Calamity befalls those not devoted to Vigneshwara. O Brahmins, Daksha returned home filled with rage and vengeance. Like the one who has been pierced with a stake, he could not derive happiness from anything. He resolved to teach Shiva a lesson. He was so aggrieved that he became obsessed with that thought. Just then, Narada, who was illustrious and possessed a divine vision, manifested. Daksha received Narad Muni with veneration. Then, paying respects at his feet, he offered Narada a seat, asana, and water, argya. Daksha performed his puja as ordained and welcomed him. Daksha asked about his welfare. The Muni was pleased and asked Daksha, "O Daksha, what is the cause of your sorrow? Why do you look so sad? You are a valiant Prajapati. Do share your sorrow with me without any hesitation." Daksha replied, "O Narada, listen to the cause of my distress. Shiva did not offer appropriate respects to me in an assembly. Shankara is arrogant. Please suggest how I can destroy his pride, as you are knowledgeable and wise in such matters." Narada suggested, "O Daksha, you must perform the Brihaspati Yajna where all invitees are revered. Do not invite Shambhu. Do this Yajna to avenge him. Excluded from the Yajna, he will be considered as lowly and will be disqualified from being seated with other devas. He will be thrown out. He will be stripped of his godliness. His only recognition will be as the king of Pishachas. Your status as the chief amongst Prajapatis is acknowledged by all. Therefore, you can continue to perform your deeds as before. So in the future, everything will be as desired by you. It will appear as if his godliness has been acquired by tradition. He did not deserve it. These are my thoughts. However, do as you please." Having offered this advice, Yogi Narada, a devotee of Brahma, departed to wander in Brahmanda, playing his veena. Daksha was convinced by the suggestions of Narada and his melancholy disappeared. He was happy and immediately commenced preparations for the Brihaspati Yajna. The Supreme Lord Vishnu arrived to attend the Yajna. Other devas arrived mounted on their vehicles. Gandharvas arrived. Many Brahmins, well versed in various Shastras, arrived. Kashyapa, along with his sons-in-law and other eminent dignitaries, arrived. As suggested by Narada, he commenced the Yajna without Ganesha and Shankara. He did not remember Ganesha as he was preoccupied in welcoming his guests. The chief of Shaivites, Dadichi, and other Shaivites were infuriated. Dadichi said angrily, "O wise Daksha, listen to my advice. It is for your welfare. Shankara is absent, so this yajna is bereft of splendor. A yajna without Shankara is just like a body without vital life force, prana, and inauspicious." Hearing such words, Daksha was filled with wrath. He was arrogant and behaved foolishly as he was under the influence of a curse. Daksha said, "Shiva appears impure and is the leader of Pishachas. He does not belong to any caste or follow the stages of life, ashrama. Therefore, he is not eligible for participation in any yajna. When the Lord of Lakshmi, Vishnu himself, a symbol of auspiciousness, is present, what deficiency can exist in this yajna? Do not ramble." The rude words of Daksha enraged Dadichi. He said, "O Daksha, you are criticizing Shiva as you are influenced by ignorance. Your hatred for Shiva will result in the destruction of this yajna. All your good fortunes will end. You will not earn any rewards and fruits by performing this yajna. All Brahmins and persons of other castes, varnas, present here will become atheists and sinful in Kali Yuga. They will not observe their own dharma and will suffer in hell. Vishnu, who has come here happily, will be the creator of atheism. In Kali Yuga, devas will support the atheists. People, jivas, will become irreligious and sinful. In this yajna without Shiva, Vishnu has assumed prominence. His actions are contrary to the teachings of Vedas, and he too will be cursed. all gods will soon be defeated and all munis will be unhappy. After pronouncing this curse, Muni Dadichi departed. Rishis Gautama, Galva, Vamadeva, Dvita, Trita and other virtuous Shaivites followed the Muni and left the assembly. Markandeya, Agastya and other Maharshis were extremely enraged. They decided not to watch a yajna performed contrary to the tenets of Vedas. Vishnu pacified the remaining assemblage. He seated them in their appropriate places. As a result, Devas, Munis and attendees belonging to the other three castes witnessed the yajna happily. Devas were offered their share of the yajna offerings as per rites and proportions. The dull-witted host, Daksha, was pleased. Munis performed the yajna as ordained in the Vedas and Shastras. While the yajna was in progress, Narada proceeded to Kailash and bowed humbly and respectfully to Parvati and Shambhu. Narada was deft at creating discord. He slyly smiled and addressing Sati said, "O Devi, why are you not attending the yajna conducted by Daksha? Great festivities and celebrations are taking place. The invitees are relishing food. Your sisters and their husbands are flaunting in the pavilion. A woman does not need an invitation to visit her father's or her husband's house. Why should one harbor the feelings of respect or disrespect?" Having incited thus, Narada departed. Sati was filled with sorrow. She prayed to Shankara with a wounded heart. She bowed to Shiva and said, "O Nilakanta, O Shankara, my salutations to you. O Shiva, you are Saguna with attributes as well as Nirguna without attributes. O Mruda, creator of happiness, I bow to you. My father's house is abuzz as a yajna is being conducted with great fanfare. O Natha, please listen to me. Let us go to his place." When Sati pleaded, Shankara smiled and tried to dissuade her. He said, "Oh dear one, what are you trying to convey? Your father Daksha hates me. He has not invited me. Hence it is not appropriate to visit uninvited. If I go there, it is possible that some untoward event may occur. You possess extraordinary prowess. I too have incomparable powers. You can create devas and munis using Maya, and I can perform a yajna here." Sati listened to these loving words of advice and asked Shambhu sorrowfully, "Can you grant permission for me to go alone?" Shankara did not respond. She misunderstood his silence as his consent. She thought, why does one need an invitation to visit one's parents? Thinking thus, she decided to leave for her maternal home. Shankara was astonished. He thought, let whatever has to happen, happen. He arranged an airplane for Sati. Thus, airborne, Sati reached her father's house. Her family members welcomed her with respect. Her sister and parents lovingly welcomed her. The joyous Daksha said to his daughter, "Dear daughter, you have graced the yajna by your presence." On hearing these words, she said sorrowfully, "O father, you say that my presence has graced your yajna, but you had not invited us. Yet I have shamelessly come on my own accord to attend the yajna ceremony." This enraged Daksha and he said, "O daughter, I had made a grave mistake by marrying you to Shambhu. I was under a false impression. To fulfill my father's wish, I wed you to the king of Pishachas. Shiva does not belong to any caste, varna and ashrama stage of life. He has been falsely awarded the position of Ishvara. Because of his shortcomings, doshas, I did not invite both of you to the yajna. Yet, you are welcome. You must stay with me." Suta is narrating this legend to the rishis. When Sati heard the censuring words used to describe Shiva, she was enraged. She glanced at the yajna mandapa, the site of the yajna. She noticed that there was no share of yajna offerings assigned for Shiva. This enraged her further. Sati said to her father, "What have you done? You have performed a yajna contrary to the teachings of Vedas." Without a share for Rudra, a yajna will not grant fruits or rewards. You have censured Shiva. Hence, you are now impure and inauspicious. There is no doubt about it. Shiva is the two-lettered name for Parabrahma, the Supreme Brahma. He is the Saguna form with attributes assumed by the Nirguna Brahma, formless and without attributes. I am deeply saddened that you are not aware of this. O Father, I am your flesh and blood. My body is now impure as you have criticized Shiva. I shall sacrifice this body now. Saying this, she meditated on Lord Shiva, lit her body with the fire of Yoga Agni, and then became absorbed in the fire energy. With the powers of Maya, Shakti was reborn as Parvati, daughter to Himalaya. Through penance and meditation, she once again acquired Shiva as her husband. She observed rigorous penance to control her soul, Atma, and gained Shiva as her husband. Shiva married Parvati, overwhelmed with love for him. Thus ends the third chapter of the first Khanda, containing the legends of Vakradunda, titled The Immolation of Sati, in the Purana Upanishad, Srimad Mudgal Puran, dedicated to Sri Gajanana. End of chapter 3.